Panorama photography is a photo technique that serves several purposes. Produce high-resolution photos, which is handy for large prints. Post interactive images on social media, or to get a surreal, distorted, creative view of a scene. A drone is the perfect tool for panoramas, as an elevated viewpoint allows for a clear view without obstacles. In this video, I will show how to use the different panorama modes on a Mini 5 Pro, including the exciting new free mode. A true game-changing functionality. First, let's review a few best practices and mistakes to avoid. The stitching software requires many reference points to align the image properly. Therefore, it is better to avoid scenes with a large portion taken up by uniform elements, such as water or the sky. In this case, the stitching failed. With fair panoramas, the sun will always be in the shot. It is difficult to expose correctly under this condition. It is preferable to shoot around sunset or sunrise, or with the sun covered by clouds, to reduce the dynamic range, preserve the highlights, and recover the shadows. The use of polarizing filters is to be avoided, as they react differently according to the angle of light, creating severe banding in the sky. We access Panorama mode via the Photo Video button above the shutter, on the right part of the menu, using the icon at the bottom. The menu to the left displays 5 icons for the different modes: free, sphere, 180 degree, wide angle, and vertical. We can only access the panorama function when the drone is flying. We can then choose the exposure mode. The bottom on the lower right of the screen toggles between auto and manual exposure. I generally shoot video and photos in manual exposure, but for panoramas, auto exposure can be used. However, it tends to add too much light to the element on the ground. On most occasions, I prefer the result obtained in manual mode, but in low light condition, I switch to auto mode. The white balance must be set to manual to avoid color shifts. With the Mini 5 Pro, I find the best value to be around 50 to 100 Kelvin in daylight conditions, while in low light a higher value is needed. By tapping on the area on the left of the exposure button, a small window opens. In the tab Original, we can opt to save the file of each photo composing the panorama in RAW or JPEG format. In sphere mode, the Mini 5 Pro shoots 33 photos in rapid succession. It is a 360-degree representation, therefore a certain amount of distortion is applied to accommodate the image to a two-dimensional space, although the distortion is less pronounced than in previous models. This distortion adds a touch of surreal and creative feel to the image. Since the gimbal cannot rotate 90 degrees upwards, the top of the sky is extrapolated by the software, although the amount of missing sky is smaller compared to the Mini 4 Pro. 180-degree mode shoots 21 photos. This mode has less distortion, and it is useful for traditional two-dimensional views that can be cropped or reframed, thanks to the high resolution, or for large prints. In the wide-angle mode, 9 photos are taken, 3 rows and 3 columns. Vertical mode consists of a column of 3 photos. Free is a new mode for lightweight DJI model. It was introduced with the Air 3S, and it is the one that will be used on most occasions, as we can specify the exact area that will be included in the image. After selecting Free at the top of the Panorama menu, We move to the top left point of the desired area and tap on the Start icon or press the C1 button or the RC2 controller. We can then pan to the right and move the gimbal down to the desired endpoint and click on the same button, which has now turned into End. The software will compute the number of photos needed and the overlap between each image to include the whole area in the resulting panorama. I've been waiting for a long time for something like the free mode. It practically makes 180 degrees wide angle and vertical redundant. It is the only one I use. Unless I need an interactive panorama for social media or a creative one with some distortion, in which case I use sphere. After taking the photos, the software processes the auto-generated JPEG pano for a few seconds. The quality of the resulting image is outstanding, a noticeable improvement compared to the Mini 4 Pro. The dynamic range is excellent, with plenty of information in the shadows and highlight perfectly exposed, rich colors and a good amount of detail, even in deep crops. There is no need for further editing. Users who need to push things further can choose to save each photo in RAW JPEG format in the tab Original. In the SD card we will find a folder named DCI containing two other folders. One named DJI with the auto-generated JPEG panoramas and another one named Panorama, where we find the files of all the photos composing each panorama. The photos can then be edited and stitched into a panorama with the photo editor. I use Luminar Neo, my favorite editing program. You will find all the price information in the description of this video, together with a coupon code for a 10% discount. It is an affiliate link, so I get a small commission when a purchase is made, which helps the channel. Free is the only panorama mode that enables the use of 50 megapixels and automatic exposure bracketing photos. After selecting free mode, in the camera tab of the settings we can allow either of the two modes. This mode will be applied only to the photo saved as JPEG or RAW in the panorama folder, to be processed with Luminar Neo. The auto-generated panorama will not be affected by this choice, as it will be created as usual with the 12 megapixel individual images. Click on this link to watch my video about photography with the Mini 5 Pro, and don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video interesting. Thank you.